Welcome to Kirblog. Today's question was submitted by Vitalus Pulsar. This was given to me a while ago, and I was saving it for just a special occasion like October. What are some moments that genuinely disturbed you in any form of media, TV, movies, etc.? Oh, there's quite a few. This is one that I think I've been looking forward to for a while, and yeah, I wanted to save it for closer to Halloween. So I figured now was as good a time as any. So yeah, as with any kid, I'm sure we all had our experiences of nightmare fuel from various cartoons and games and movies and other such things that we grew up with. That just kind of hit us by surprise, and It's funny. I find that everybody kind of has their phobias and fears that just kind of come up naturally. There's phobias are unexplainable and unnatural fears, and you can try to justify them, I guess, through whatever it is that sparked them. But even then, it's like, why that specifically? So I guess I'll start off with something that goes probably as far back as I can possibly remember. The very first thing that really truly scared me. So many people who know me personally will know this, but I'm not sure if I've mentioned this much on Kirblogs before, so you might be learning something embarrassing about me. I was a very massive fan of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a young child. Probably a little longer than I should have been, but I digress. Yo, holla at all my Thomas the Tank Engine fans out there, yeah. Anyway. So, those of you who did not grow up with that show, and if you did, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, on Thomas the Tank Engine, the characters back in the day, when it was models and they were not CG animated, the characters would all have these interchangeable faces and things. And in particular, most of the characters would have this, what I can only describe as an O face. If you do a Google search right now and just find Thomas the Tank Engine O face, you'll probably find, like, an image of, like, every single one of the characters with them with these open mouth, like, gaping wide, like, scary faces. That it's meant to be when they're scared of something or surprised or whatever. I just called it the surprised face when I was a kid. My dad just would love to torture me by just being like, "Hey, Chris," and then he'd just make that face, and I would be like, "Dad, stop it!" So there was that. But in particular, there was one instance of this that just really, it's still there's a part of me that it just like is ingrained in. So there's an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine called The Ghost Train. I think alternatively, I forget if it's either in Europe or the U.S., it's called Percy's Ghostly Trick or something like that. It was basically the Halloween episode at the time, or the spooky episode. And I know England doesn't really give that much of a shit about Halloween, but I digress. So this episode, had a lot of the surprise face, scattered throughout it, which is part of the course on the series, so it was whatever. But in particular, there was this one thing about it that that was really jarring to me, and that was the music. There was this particular, I love the music from that series because that's a whole other Kerbal topic in itself. But they were very good at using associated melodies. The two composers, I forget their names, but they worked together and they had this this really distinct sounding kind of synth program. Really, really great music that, they would have like a theme for every single character and every single thing, in particular that was happening. And they had this theme that was exclusive to that one episode, as far as I know, that was representing the Ghost Train. It was this really creepy, like kind of a cross between, it's like a cross between the Jaws theme and the Psycho theme and maybe just general, oh God, I need to run and hide under the covers kind of type of music. But here's the thing. So I used to collect the VHS tapes of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid, and the one that I had that had the Ghost Train episode on it was it had this music video in the beginning. They'd have like 7 or 8 episodes or whatever per volume, and the one that had that as the first episode on it, before it had this music video that was like the Thomas the Tank Engine like anthem, like a theme song or something. And, it's just like, happy, bouncy, like basically the Thomas the Tank Engine theme with lyrics, like da-da-da-da-da-da, that one, you know what I mean? Anyway, so you've heard that song, you know it, you've heard the Biggie Smalls remixes and mashups and all that bullshit. Anyway, so, but here's the thing, and actually there was even an experience. I was at the mall with Ben Diskin and some other friends recently, and this came up. in this mall we went to, it was the mall attached to the Round One arcade. They had this it was like a remote control, or not a remote control. It was one of those like little train things that they like take kids on rides like throughout the mall and stuff, like transport them around and things. And they were playing the Thomas the Tank Engine anthem that was from that music video in it. And it was reminding me of this experience, because basically the VHS tape with the episode on it would start with that theme, and then as soon as it was done, the music from the Ghost Train episode would start, and then the footage would show up, and then you just hear, whether it was either Ringo Starr or George Carlin's narration of Percy, the character Percy, one of the trains, telling the story about the ghost trains, all creepy, etc. But so basically, this is, so if I hear the Thomas anthem, this is what it is that I hear, and this is why it freaks me out so much. So like it ends with like, Thomas, we love you, Thomas, we love you, Thomas, we love you. Wom, wom, bum 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 bum. And I'm just like, so that's a thing. That stuck with me for a while. So Diskin is just looking at me going like, like clutching my fucking, my hoodie like over my head or whatever. And he's just like, are you all right? I'm just like, I'm fine. I'm okay. And I give him the shortened version of that story. So there's one thing. Moving on to the next one. Here's a good one. This is actually kind of the reason why I decided to do this one today, because I was thinking about it, and then Nickelodeon just announced that they put out the first 5 seasons. I didn't realize it was that many seasons of Are You Afraid of the Dark on DVD. This was the show that probably made me too afraid to watch horror movies in general, and that's really embarrassing to say, because I know Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps and R.L. Stine's Haunting Hour or whatever, they're all super fucking cheesy and horribly acted or whatever. Sorry, young Canadian actors that were in them and over-the-top adult actors. I know you're just doing your job, but yeah, I know they're not really scary. But when you're 5 or whatever, it's a little different. But either way, so there's this one particular episode. I believe it was called The Night of the Midnight Madness or something like that. It was an episode about a movie theater that was shutting down, and this crazy doctor guy who was a filmmaker came in, and he offers them a movie to run, and then it's basically an old Nosferatu film, and Nosferatu comes out of the movie he comes off the screen and becomes real, and then he goes around biting people and generally causing chaos and shit. But it was so bizarre because I think I'd seen a few episodes of the series before and generally wasn't a fan of it because it scared the shit out of me. But okay, there was something in particular about, and I don't know. I should have done more research. I don't know if it was actual stock footage from a real Nosferatu movie, like a real classic black and white one or something, or if it was just they recreated it and kind of it was in tribute to general Nosferatu films. But either way, yeah, there was black and white footage of Nosferatu biting somebody, and they played it 2 or 3 times. This one particular shot where he just grabs this guy and just bites him on the neck, and he hissing or whatever with the music going. And seeing that 2 or 3 times in a row, I was just I am never going to bed with my neck exposed ever again, because holy shit. And I guess that's something kind of to say that's quite powerful about black and white movies, is that that's quality of them that still holds up, and I'll get to that soon. But there's a point we're gonna come back to that. But yeah, that was the thing that single-handedly made me just absolutely fucking horrified of vampires. Vampires were that was my particular Halloween or horror related thing that just I was not able to deal with for a long time. Anytime a vampire related episode of another like a Nicktoon or a Cartoon Network show or whatever would come up, and just nope, going away, turning off, changing channel, bye, not interested. Funnily enough, by the way, I also found out, here's a little side mini did you know voice acting Halloween special for you. I found out that apparently the guy who played Dr. Vink, who I guess was a recurring character in Are You Afraid of the Dark, was the guy who voiced Cranky Kong in that really fucking terrible CGI Donkey Kong Country animated series. So I'm like, oh, well. And then also I think the guy who like owned the theater, who was like hey, I'm the stereotypical like Joyzy guy or whatever, he's like the voice of a bunch of characters in Assassin's Creed. I don't play Assassin's Creed, so I don't know. Whatever. But either way, yeah. So that was the thing, yeah. Vampires just did not fucking sit well with me for many, many years. And eventually, well, like I said, I'll get back to that. But yeah. In the meantime, kind of leading up to my actual point, is there were some other particular things that I remember that really freaked me out, and I kind of tried to work past them. Okay, you know what? Actually, another one, I should do this at some point this month. I feel like I now that I'm remembering, I should. I have never seen the end of Monkey Bone. Which is, it's funny because you'd think that now I would totally appreciate that movie because it's got really cool like animation stuff in it. But if you haven't seen that movie, it's about a guy who's like in a coma and he's like a cartoonist, and in his head are like all the cartoon characters he created, a bunch of weird shit. But he gets trapped in his own subconscious, and he has a nightmare where like his sister, who wants to like inherit some fortune or some bullshit from him, she like wants to pull his plug and let him die or something. And there's a nightmare he has where like he like deflates when like she cuts the wire, and it's all like creepy and slow-mo. And I remember seeing that, and I think that's one of the only 2 movies in my life that I've ever walked out of, because I remember I was like 7 or 8 or something, and I'm just like, okay, I am gonna go shit myself. I would like to leave now. So we left. For the record, the only other movie that I walked out of was Mighty Joe Young, and only because Runaway Brain, the Mickey Mouse short, was attached to the beginning, and that's all I wanted to see. Which is kind of ironic, considering that was kind of a parody of like Frankenstein movies and shit, and I wanted to go see that and didn't watch Mighty Joe Young, so something's weird with me. Anyway, but yeah, so that was the thing. I should watch Monkey Bone, because I think that now I would probably appreciate it and like it, but I digress. Kakariko Village in Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time, the graveyard, that was something I'm like, I'm never going here when it's at night. And then I'm like getting to the part later when you're an adult, and it's like, oh, I have to, because that's part of the game. Fuck you, Nintendo. You know? And by the way, I guess on a side note, unfortunately I did not grow up with Majora's Mask, so I didn't get to experience all the crazy, you know, creepy stuff that came with that one. Not because I was afraid of it, I just never got it. I did play through like about over half of it or so, maybe like 2/3 of it a few years ago, and I did like it. I just never finished it. But I know, I'm sure a lot of comments are going to be, you know, Majora's Mask was the nightmare fuel for many people who were probably my age or maybe a little younger or whatever. But yeah, Kakariko Village and the Re-Deads and everything. So yeah, I mean, just in general, a lot of the stuff that I was scared of as a kid, I didn't like horror movies. I didn't like, you know, haunted houses or doing Halloween, you know, stuff. If it was like a party or trick-or-treating or like, you know, dances or something, I'd go to it. But if it was like, let's go to this haunted house or like, you know, Halloween Horror Nights or whatever, I was just like, nope, no thanks, I'm good. I don't know if I'm going to do Horror Nights this year. If anybody that I know is going, maybe I might join along or something. We'll see. Because now it's not a big deal. But the reason that it's not a big deal anymore is because eventually... I remember in my last year of college at SVA, I wanted to take a few extra classes because we had to, you know, fill in some more credits and things to, you know, meet the criteria necessary for graduating. So I was going through different available classes and things, and I decided to take a horror movie class. And I feel really bad because I can't remember the name of the teacher. He was really cool, and he had worked on like actual horror movies with like some other really prestigious directors, and I feel bad. Mike Lucas, if you hear this later, correct me and I'll put an annotation in for his name or something. I don't remember. Anyway, but he was really cool. Mike Lucas took his class, I believe, the year before and suggested I try it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I think it's time that I finally got over this shit. So I took this class and we watched Son of Frankenstein, and we watched The Bride of Frankenstein, we watched Night of the Demon, a few other ones I can't remember, but we watched like a whole bunch of like classic stuff, and then a few more modern things and some indie movies and things like that. And it was cool because it was like, okay, you know what? This is because I really determined what it was. It was the shock value and the gore that I wasn't a fan of, and I'm still not a fan of it. For some reason, when it's animated, I can deal with it a little better, but when it's live action, I'm just like, nope, not a fan. I'm okay. Nope, thank you. But psychological horror movies and thriller movies, I'm okay with those, because those I find intriguing, and I like them, and I find them, you know, like, I don't know, just those are more up my alley as opposed to just seeing gross shit, because then I'm just like, like, what's that movie? I always see like the VHS cover for it, it's the one with it's like Dead Alive or something like that. It's the one with like the cover where like the girl is holding open the lips of her mouth and the little skull is underneath. It's that one. It's just nothing but like people being made into smoothies and chopped up, and it's gross. And I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks. The most recent memory I have of being like scared by something, or at least like disturbed, I guess, which is part of the question, was I went to go see This Is the End about a year ago, I think. Oh yeah, a year ago when I was visiting California. I went to go see it with Zach Bellissimo, Tara Billinger, and a friend of ours, Dave, who we went to high school with. When I was visiting for 2 weeks, I went to go see that with them. And it's not that the movie was particularly scary. I mean, it had like some gore and some gross shit. There was like cannibalism and things in it, but it was just like some feelings of like uneasiness and like, I don't know. It had like a tone of disturbingness. That's a word. Good. To it that really like off-put me. I did like it. It was a funny movie for what it was worth. You know, it was a lot better than I expected it to be when I went into it, because I thought it was just gonna be completely stupid or whatever. But yeah, there were some things about it that like I remember. I think Michael Cera being tossed into it, like being stabbed by a like a lamppost or something, and then being dragged down into hell. Yeah, like the big pit opening up and people falling into it was really disturbing. And then like the cannibalism stuff later, for sure, that was like, okay, this is gross. But yeah, there was a lot of that. That was like, ew. I think that's about it. I feel like maybe there's a couple other moments like that I've probably skipped over, but those are definitely the major ones that have stuck with me for all these years. So I guess with that, here's what I'm really interested in. In the comments below, as we're wrapping up here, please tell me what were your scary moments and disturbing moments from things, whether they were during Halloween times or not, and just in general. What is some creepy shit that scared you as a youngin', or even maybe as an adult as well, if you have any moments like that. And also in particular, if anybody was also disturbed to that level like I was by either that particular Are You Afraid of the Dark episode with the Night of the Midnight Madness or whatever, and the fucking Ghost Train music. I'll have, you know what, also I'll throw an annotation earlier to the music, because this guy on YouTube, Sundrian Afro, I believe he goes by, he did like a recreation of the Ghost Train theme, and it's just as disturbing as it always was. Yeah, so definitely, if you shared in those or any of the ones that I mentioned, Monkey Bone, Kakariko Graveyard, or whatever, let me know, because I'd be curious to know if those were things that were equally scary for other people. I'm sure they probably were for some, if they happen to be anybody listening to this. So I guess that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next time.